Scarlett was what many would call a woman of peace. Soft spoken, respectful, never one to chase drama. In her street, neighbors often said, "Dat woman no dey talk oh, but her eyes dey see." She was a calm river that ran deep, the kind that could drown a person without making a splash. She and her husband Tony had been married for 7 solid years. No children yet, but their love was real, the type that didn't need to shout to be felt. Scarlett ran a cozy baking business from home. Her cakes were known to melt stress away. Tony worked in town Mondays to Saturdays. Life was not perfect, but it was peaceful, and in Scarlett's eyes, peace was luxury. Due to her tight business schedule, Scarlett decided to hire someone to help with chores at home so she could focus more on her growing orders. It felt like a simple, harmless decision until Rosalind arrived. She was 23, fresh from the village, with a waist that moved like Sunday morning praise dancers. Her eyes were sharp, her smile a little too sweet, and her voice carried the kind of sugar that melts anger away. Scarlett saw a helper, but what she had unknowingly brought into her house was a hurricane wrapped in head tie. At first, Rosalind played her role perfectly well. She was quiet, obedient, always greeting with a sugary "Good morning, Auntie," "Good evening, Uncle," like she rehearsed it in the mirror. But it didn't take long for the mask to start slipping off. Scarlett's best friend, Noella, was the first to raise an eyebrow. "Scar, why your maid dey wear pencil skirt to compound?" Scarlett shrugged. Maybe she felt comfortable like that. Rosalind began taking initiative, uninvited initiative, cooking before anyone asked, cleaning places that didn't need cleaning, smiling too much, and laughing too loudly. Then one afternoon, Scarlett walked into the kitchen and heard giggles, the kind that tickled the spine. Rosalind was laughing with Tony like he was a stand-up comedian, a spoon in her hand, stew on her cheek, and boldness in her eyes. Scarlett didn't flare up. She didn't ask questions. She simply looked, nodded, and said, "That's so e dey take start." But the signs kept piling like a Saturday laundry. Tony started coming home early, too early, and when he got home, he barely looked at Scarlett. No hugs, no touches, just "Have you eaten?" and silence. Rosalind, she grew bolder. She stopped calling Scarlett auntie. Now it was just, "Scarlett, please pass me the salt. Scarlett, please get the rubber for me. Scarlett, do this. Scarlett, do that," as if she was now the madam of the house. One Sunday morning after church service, Tony said something that truly confirmed Scarlett's suspicions. "Scarlett, abeg no stress Rosalind again oh. She's still too young," Tony said casually one evening, not even looking up from his phone. Scarlett turned to him slowly, her face unreadable. Then she smiled, soft, gentle smile, the kind of smile that made people forget she had a brain sharper than a new razor blade. "I hear you," she said. But inside her, something had already risen, something fierce, and it wasn't smiling. That night, Scarlett laid in bed, facing the wall, breathing slowly and steady like someone deep in sleep. But her ears were wide awake. She heard it, soft whispers, light footsteps, the quiet creak of a door. Her heart pounded, but her face remained calm. She slipped out of bed like mist and tiptoed down the hallway. When she reached the guest room, she pushed the door slightly, just enough to see, and what she saw nearly stopped her breath. There they were, Tony and Rosalind, locked in each other's arms, kissing like teenagers in a Nollywood romance scene. The same mouth that told her "I love you" now kissing someone else in the dark. Scarlett slowly closed the door. No tears, no screaming, she walked back to her room and slept like a baby. By morning, the woman Tony thought was quiet and weak was already setting her chessboard. ready to play. Operation Sweet Revenge had begun. Scarlett didn't confront him. She didn't throw things. She didn't shout. No drama, just coldness and strategic silence. Because you see, revenge wasn't a dish she wanted to serve hot. No, she preferred her slowly cooked with full pepper and garnished to disgrace. Scarlett started putting plans in motion, quietly, carefully. Since their wedding anniversary was just around the corner, she decided it was the perfect stage to strike. A celebration turned sentencing. She collected a large sum of money from her husband, called a top event planner, and hosted the biggest wedding anniversary celebration the street had ever seen. The kind of party that makes even your enemies dress up to attend. Flyers were printed, a canopy covered the compound, a caterer cooked like the Last Supper was happening there. Everyone was invited: neighbors, church brethren, Tony's work colleagues, even Rosalind's distant cousins who had now relocated to town. She even hired a professional media team to cover the event and document everything. Cameras, drones, live stream, no corner was left unturned. The house was dripping in gold and white. Food was in abundance. Jollof rice with that smoky flavor. Small chops that could raise the dead. Music blasted. People danced. Laughter filled the air. Rosalind wore a hot red dress, waist swinging like she was the celebrant. She moved around confidently, receiving compliments like the co-wife she thought she was. And Tony, he was all teeth and no sense, grinning like a goat that just discovered a barn full of yam. But Scarlett, she was quiet, radiant and watching, because the real event hadn't started yet. Scarlett stepped forward, her wine glass in hand. She clinked it gently with a spoon. Ting, 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 and slowly the music faded. All eyes turned to her. With a calm smile, she took the mic. "Good evening, everyone," she began. "Thank you so much for coming to celebrate what would have been our seventh wedding anniversary. But tonight is not just about cake and music. Tonight I free myself from betrayal." Whispered rippled across the crowd. Tony laughed nervously and tried to hold her waist, but she refused and stepped forward, then clapped her hands twice. Suddenly, the lights dimmed and the projector lit up the wall. Hidden camera footage began to roll. Clip 1 showed Rosalind entering Scarlett's room, not to clean but to lie on the bed in Scarlett's nightgown. Clip 2 showed Tony telling Rosalind she cooks better than Scarlett. "I just dey manage dat woman oo." Another clip showed Rosalind sitting comfortably on Scarlett's side of the bed painting her nails. Another clip showed Rosalind being intimate with Tony in her matrimonial bedroom. The room exploded. Neighbors gasped. Tony's boss stood up and walked out in disgust. One elderly relative from Rosalind's side fainted. A deacon from church whispered, "Jehovah, is this what marriage has turned into?" Tony tried to grab the mic, but Scarlett's friend Noella stepped in with her gele, tilted like a warning sign. "Touch that mic and you'll be trend on Instablog tonight." Scarlett reached into her handbag and pulled out two brown envelopes and handed them over to Tony and Rosalind. "Eviction letters," she said calmly. "You both have 48 hours to leave this house. You can go to wherever you want to go to and live happily ever after in shame." The hall went silent. Then a slow clap. One person, then two, and soon the whole room was clapping. But Scarlett, she just picked up her wine glass and walked away, heels clicking like justice, because the quiet woman had just served the loudest revenge. 1 month later, Scarlett was slowly finding her balance again. The storm had passed, and though the scars were still fresh, she picked herself up and poured her energy back into what she loved doing: baking. Orders were rolling in from people she didn't even know. Someone tweeted, "Support the queen who served cold revenge and hot cake." Before long, her cakes were in two local supermarkets. Women across the country sent her gifts. One even mailed her a necklace that read, Wife, not Wi-Fi. She bought herself a new car, a clean red SUV with custom plate number. Calm, not stupid. Then one day, Tony came back crawling like expired toothpaste. He stood at her gate under the sun, holding flowers and a shaky apology. Scar, please, I made a mistake. She didn't even raise her voice. She didn't insult him. She just smiled and said, you and Rosalind can kneel in front of Redeem Camp and fast for 40 days. I still won't look back. I won't and will never forgive you. Then she banged the gate to his face and walked away. Never mistake a quiet woman for a weak one. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. So next time you see a woman who doesn't talk much, don't mess with her. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Turn on the notification bell so you will not miss more African stories. You guys, this is just the beginning. Bye and see you in the next one.